Welcome to the Killing Podcast, Season 4, Episode 4, Dream Baby Dream.
Should I sing that song for
This
you?
is more Nightmare, Baby Nightmare.
Yeah, right.
There's a whole lot.
Should I sing that song? Nightmare, baby nightmare. That's not a song.
I don't think that. Oh, I was going to say, that doesn't
You're
sound
really
familiar.
falling for that
I
one,
did.
huh?
Okay. We're your hosts, Martha Southgate and...
Rob Southgate.
Okay.
Wow, Episode 4.
This...
We're getting there.
This one really gave me a heart attack.
So here's one thing I noticed. It starts out, you see the hallway at the school. It's night. The piano music's playing. It kinda sounded like the theme music to our show.
Did it?
It did, a little bit. It wasn't exactly, but I was watching it going, ooh, wow, we actually kind of picked the right music, because the theme song for the show is very different than what we use for our podcast. But this particular piece of music, the opening, reminded me of our show.
Maybe the music guy listens to our show.
Oh, that'd be awesome. And maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe it was just a coincidence.
So it's at the school, and there's this empty hallway, and it pans in, and it goes into Kyle's room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's somebody going into the room.
Well, he's sleeping.
He's sleeping with his back to the door, but somebody goes in, and then the camera shifts, and it's facing Kyle, and you can see the outline of a person in the doorway. Yeah, I was freaking out.
I kept
and
thinking
what an idiot.
It was going to be...
It's called Dream Baby Dream. You would think that we would pick up on that.
No, we didn't.
No.
But I was thinking it was going to end up being one
like
of the
Lincoln
bad cadets, Lincoln or AJ, and
yeah.
we're like, somebody's coming to freaking kill him.
But it's not.
It
was
Nadine.
A dream. It was Nadine.
His
and then you see the blood kind of pour down her head. Oh, my God.
Well, she says, did the monster go away? And the blood starts dripping down.
Oh, my gosh. And then his eyes popped open. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Actually, his eyes popped open while she was standing there, and then he turned around and saw her. But then he starts up awake. That was horrible.
Now...
That one really suckered me in, too.
She says, did the monster go away? Now,
right.
I'm very literal.
Right.
I'm going to be interested in knowing when we get through the rest of... We've got 2 more episodes. Is there only one killer? Because they had 2 guns.
And also, when she says, did the monster go away? It could be if Kyle indeed did it, okay? Did the monster go away? His internal
demon?
Monster, or the fact that he killed, like the father's the monster. Did the monster go away when you did this?
Interesting. Okay.
So we don't know what the monster is.
We don't know who the monster is.
Right. And once again, is it 1? Is it 2?
Well, she didn't say monsters.
Right.
Which is why...
so you're thinking 1.
But I don't know. But like you said...
But then there's 2 guns.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So it could mean, like you said, that it's the dad.
Right.
Or something. So he wakes up, it was just a bad dream.
Oh.
And the colonel is practicing her ballroom dancing.
Right.
And Kyle comes in crying.
Yeah,
he's crying about Nadine.
He's justifiably really upset.
Well, and he's wondering why he didn't protect her.
Right.
Because he's starting to remember...
Yeah, and the memories are coming back, and he's
He
panicked.
doesn't want them to.
No.
But I mean, can you imagine being this kid who he loved his sister so much.
Right.
And how is it possible that he allowed something to happen to her?
Right. Well, and he also says he doesn't know if he can live
right
with these memories. And oh my gosh, I mean, how do you?
Yes. And so the colonel equates it to combat, and he asks if that's, she tells this whole story, and he says, is that what happened to you?
Right. Why you were dishonorably discharged.
And she says, Kyle, I loved this.
Kyle.
Kyle, you don't have to say everything that pops into your head.
Right. Kyle.
Because
that's a little South Park.
Because really, he does. And so he's asking her, so is this, and he probed a little too deep into her personal life. But she's like, you don't have to say everything that comes into your head. And then she teaches him how to waltz.
Well, right. He mentions the music, and he said he knows what it is. And she's saying, wait, how do you know this? And he says, well, I learned it when I learned the box step. Mm-hmm. And then she says, well, I'm going to teach you how to waltz. It's very similar to the box step, and starts teaching him. I really liked this. I said it while we were watching it too. I just really like this. I like that her character has this dimension to her, that her piece is in ballroom dancing.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem forced. It seems very genuine. And the fact that like her way of protecting him at this point is, I'm going to let you into this world. You're going to box step with me. I thought that was really interesting. Waltz. Right. And the thing is, we still don't know who's involved, who's done what. I think Holder and Lyndon are suspicious of her because she's so strict and so weird about stuff.
Yeah.
But then you see scenes like this and you go, I don't know. I still think my theory holds.
That it's his mom?
That she might be his mom. That she had an affair with his dad and she might be his mom, because it seemed very, like, warm. Overly warm for a colonel.
But maternal.
Maternal, yeah, that's the word.
Because he had a bad dream. She's distracting him.
She made him some hot cocoa. She got him his nubby.
But there isn't any Mrs. Robinson weirdness.
No, that would make this show take a very strange twist.
Well, which would not be unusual.
That is this show, right?
But really, it's not. There isn't any of that. You don't get that. You don't get a sexual vibe. It's nothing crossing lines.
It's very maternal.
Very
as you
maternal.
Said. So I also want to say at this point, it's raining. I'm just saying.
Okay, so Sarah and Holder are together, and they're discussing the cadet kid, that Lincoln.
Right.
And
they're sitting in their car.
Holder
is completely
he's
tweaking.
A mess. After his, not literally.
Right. But he's just like.
But he's a freaking mess after his family dinner, because that was a feel good.
No, it's more than his family dinner. He went out to the car and did drugs, and he's all over the place here.
Yes,
and it's very obvious that he's been using. And I think Sarah sees it.
She totally knows.
Right here. I put here she suspects something is up, but I think she suspects more than just something is up. I think she knows he did it.
Well, and she says, she's asking him, she's questioning him about his current state.
Right.
And I believe she actually asked him straight out, are you using?
I don't think she did yet.
Okay. Well, she said
because I think she does, but I don't think she did in this scene.
Because she's questioning his current
state of mind. Now, there is an interesting thing that happens here, though. He asks her for a cigarette. He's like, I need a cigarette. Do you have a cigarette? She says, I quit. Mm-hmm. So Sarah's quit smoking again. Right. Is she... Now, we've seen her losing it. Now, is she pulling it together, and that's part of her pulling together, and now he's flipping the other way?
He's losing it, yeah. And
I don't think they're done flipping.
No. So
I think everybody's flipping out.
They see Lincoln.
Yeah.
And they jump out to go question him. He calls him 21 Jump Street.
Yeah. He goes, if it isn't 21 Jump Street.
I love
Okay, now we've had Bugs Bunny. We've had 21 Jump Street. We've had The Real Slim Shady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hilarious.
My gosh. So they question him about Mrs. Stansberry.
Right.
And I every time I hear that, I want to go, Stansberry. Who ever heard of a Stansberry?
I think you've already done that.
I know, but
I know
do you know how many times
OCD.
I do? And you know how many times I have not said it, and I have, but that time I just couldn't help it.
I'm sure of it.
I'll do my best in the future to not
say it like Chicago's Stansberry. Then you don't do it. Stansberry. Yeah, it's Stansberry.
Who ever heard of a
See? Do it that way.
Holder asks him where the gun is that he brought to the school.
Yes.
And Lincoln's just totally cocky.
Oh, he's my number one suspect just because of how he acts with all this. And when they ask him, he pretty much acts like, yep, you're not going to catch me anyway. Mm-hmm. So even though this show is usually not that obvious, it's pretty obvious that this guy did something.
He's
a bad guy. He's a psycho.
Yeah, no matter what.
He's a psycho.
I love when Holder tells him what's going to happen to him in prison.
Yeah.
That was graphic.
Well, and he grabs him and shoves him up.
He roughed him up. Yeah.
Yeah. And Sarah's standing there like, okay, great.
Yeah. Now we've gone over the line yet again.
Here we go.
So
when he also tells them that Mrs. Stansberry was seducing them. Mm-hmm. That it wasn't just, him pursuing. She was seducing. So, this is a lovely picture
family.
They're painting. Yes.
So, Holder CI stops Carl because he's got info.
Right.
And he says a cop murdered someone.
Yeah. And he says it was a cop, and that he confessed at NA.
Yeah.
And then Carl's like, yeah, all right, bring me something when you got something real. And he walks away and he goes, it was a detective.
Yeah.
Who does Carl know that would be in NA that he's suspicious of anyway?
Exactly. Well, how
it was
come
the worst possible scenario.
If he was Holder's CI, though, why wouldn't he recognize Holder? Why wouldn't he have said?
Well, yeah, I thought that was a little bit weird because didn't he say earlier that he was... Yeah. Well, maybe he doesn't know that Carl knows Holder?
No.
Or maybe he was just saying it was a detective because he's out in the open. He's not going to say it was Holder doing it.
Okay.
Because they were out in the open when this happened. So maybe it's like, hey, it was a detective. Now I know we need to go talk. Because he doesn't want to give all of his information because he doesn't get paid if he does.
Exactly.
So that might be all that was.
So he was giving him some teasers.
Yes. He was chumming the water, so to speak.
Okay. So how about Slap Happy Sing-Along Day at the school?
Oh.
That was lovely.
Yeah, so it's a hazing thing. AJ's running a hazing thing with new cadets. And they have them all lined up. And Kyle says, I thought this was outlawed. I thought we couldn't do this anymore. And he's like, we're doing it. Mm-hmm. This is how it is. So they get all these new freshman cadets. They line them up. They make them face each other. And he makes Kyle pick like a nursery rhyme. And I don't remember what he picks.
You have to sing a line. The Itsy Bitsy Spider?
He picks Itsy Bitsy Spider. That's what it was. And you have to sing a line, and then in between each line, slap the other person across the face.
As hard as you can.
Yeah. And they go back and forth slapping. It's so freaking terrible.
And barbaric.
Yeah,
and stupid.
I hate this stuff.
Kyle's upset. I mean, really, really upset.
Right.
And
so, go ahead.
AJ tries to make him hit him. And Kyle
he says, we have something special. And he pulls Kyle over and he's like, we're going to do it to show you how it's done. And he wants Kyle to hit him. And he sings it and Kyle just won't do it.
Nope.
So then he pairs him with Lincoln.
With crazy ass.
The worst. And Kyle won't do it.
Nope. And Lincoln just keeps
hitting him. He'll every verse, smack. I mean, his face is ballooning up. It's all red. It was awful to watch. This was an awful scene to watch. AJ then steps in. He pulls Lincoln out, steps in, tells Kyle to hit him. Now Kyle is like tears running down his face, almost bleeding. He's been hit so hard, still won't do it. So this is once again telling us something about Kyle.
Well, and the colonel kept saying Kyle doesn't get violent. Kyle would not hurt somebody.
Right.
We did see him beat Lincoln in the bathroom that time.
Right.
When AJ gave him the direct order.
But it's
here. Not something that
was a little bit too raw, too. That was right after things happened. This was something different. So it was like just hitting for no reason. He would not do it. I'm so devastated by this
whole
scene.
Scene is just really
sick. Okay. So Holder is at Lincoln's. He's at Lincoln's house. And
who's the writer that is so twisted that they came up with that scene?
What, the hazing?
The nursery rhyme slapping game? Like, and they even call it the Slap Happy Sing-Along Day. I would like to meet...
That whole hazing thing is just so wrong.
I want to meet the one who
right.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Let's have a nursery rhyme hazing.
Who is it that writes any of this stuff? I mean, holy cow. So Holder and Lyndon are at Lincoln's house. And he's looking at the wall, and there are all these posters of women, and they're all disfigured.
Well, they've been defiled.
Yes. And, I mean, right there, you're like, okay, serial killer, what the hell is going on here?
The mom shows them. The mom takes him up to the room, and she says, the school overreacted. He brought a gun to school, and they overreacted.
Right. She also says that the therapist says that he should be able to do this, that we should let him do it. It's just a phase. He'll work through it. Okay, Holder and Lyndon know what a serial killer looks like. This looks like a budding psycho right here.
And Holder is so rude to the mom.
Oh my gosh, he's so aggressive with her.
Sarah has to reprimand him. I'm like, right. I mean, really? He's out of control in this episode.
He calls him a piece of crap, and he's just super aggressive. And the mom gets defensive, and she denies that he's a killer. She's like, there's no way. Pure out denial. Sarah yells at Holder in front of her for being so rough. I mean, it's like, okay, he's losing it. He is losing it.
Yeah. And they find nothing.
Right,
they didn't
find
anything in his room.
So then this is where...
Oh, this is where she calls him on as he's using.
They're in the car, and his legs are shaking.
Yeah.
And she asks about it, and he's like, oh, restless leg syndrome. Now, I'm watching that, and you know what? I do that sometimes. I'll bounce my leg. Everybody does it. So I'm like, okay, that's a legitimate thing. But not when he's never done it. He's acting the way he is. These are all warning signs to Sarah.
And so she asks him if he's using again. And I wrote here, and they have a parenting fight.
Right. Right. Because she's making it sound like you are not being a responsible parent. Pot, meat, kettle. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and she also tells him during this that they need to check all the gas stations to look for this car and to see if there's any evidence of any of this, because there's this string of gas stations where something's going to happen, and Holder is just like, screw that, I'm not doing it.
He won't do it.
Just completely refuses. That's when she's like, she really flips on him, because it's like, you're losing it.
Yeah.
We have our own troubles, but now you're impeding this investigation.
Right. But on the other hand, she did, in the other seasons, she did make him be her lackey a lot, and she would delegate a lot of these menial tasks to him, and he's going, we have officers.
Right, but he doesn't act like this. But
he's not, no, I'm saying though, and then it comes from passive aggressive.
Right. Oh yeah, their
anger.
Relationship. Yeah. So he gets out, he says he wants to be let off, and of course, what does she think he's doing? But he's going to connect.
Well, because she lets him off at a church.
Well, no, we don't see that. We see him getting out of the car, and it looks like he's in a seedy area. And she's like, what, you going to meet your connection? And he won't tell her what he's doing. Mm-hmm. But then we find out she was letting him off. He goes to a church. Yeah. So this was really interesting.
Carl is searching Holder's car history.
Yeah, it's the his LoJack information.
Yeah. And he sees that Holder was at the lake that night.
Yes!
And he asks for a copy.
Holder said in the other episode that he turned off the LoJack, removed the LoJack or whatever. Nope. Guess what? Holder, you didn't. He knows you were at the lake.
And he asks the deputy guy for a copy of the photo that Sarah had of the car that night. And the deputy says, oh, she said she didn't need it anymore. Oh. She told me not to look it up. And he's like, no, you get me that. Ends. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Ends. It's like they just left a mess.
Yeah.
She thinks she's covering it up by telling him not to do that. No,
you're
Carl's asking the right questions, and they're in trouble.
Yeah, they're in big freaking trouble. And Holder's in the church.
He's in the church.
There are those nuns behind the wall.
Now, is that normal? I'm not Catholic.
No, it's not normal. So, I don't know what that is.
Okay, there's like a screen, and these nuns are back there, and they're singing, and he's like kind of crying, and you're like, okay, this must be where he goes to center himself when he's starting to use or trying to get away from it. And we know he used, but the fact that he's going to this church, it's like he's going right back to it. So, I mean, hopefully whatever he took isn't just like right back into it for good. Hopefully that was a one-time thing and he's trying to stay away from it now. Yeah. And that might be what this is representing. I'm just not sure. But it was a cool image with those nuns back there, but I've never heard of anything like that.
No. And he's just so upset and it's like,
Well, yeah, and then he storms out like a big jerk.
Well, because he's angry at God.
Yeah.
And he's
But he went there. So
he went there to try to get...
I'm really glad they didn't get into a scene where he's sitting there talking to the priest or talking to a nun or something. It was all written on his face. It was all up to interpretation. We know he's mad at God. We know he's mad at the whole situation. You hear a little bit of it in his prayer. You see it in his actions. I think that was a really strong way for the writers to go with this.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Sarah's asking the colonel about the gun.
Yeah. And she says there's just absolutely no way there's one on campus.
Right.
Absolutely. They're checked as they come in.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, you need to let us look at his room. You need to let us in there. And she says... She's really... Like, part of me says, okay, this is her job, and she believes that there is no way, so you are not coming in here. I have a responsibility. If you don't have a warrant, you're not getting in. But at the same time, she's so weird about this stuff.
Well, and she's mad now. She's mad at Sarah and Holder. So she's not giving them any room.
Right.
Because,
and she says you have to get a warrant to get in here. I don't know. She acts suspicious, but then when we see her with Kyle, she doesn't. I'm really at a loss. There's so many people that it could be and scenarios that could be playing out. I think this is, I think next episode we're going to find out some big news, but with only 6 episodes, only 2 more, so. I know with 6 episodes, I don't think we're going to stay completely confounded here through this episode.
Okay. This next scene I absolutely hated. Oh, this was so painful. So Jack,
this is terrible.
Jack is at Reggie's and he's telling Reggie and her wife about his girlfriend.
Right. And he's so he's
happy, excited. I mean, they're all enjoying themselves. Happy. And Debbie Downer comes in.
Yep.
And Miss Jealous ruins the entire scene.
She's upset that she didn't know he had a girlfriend. She's
left to Reggie.
Out. Well, and Reggie got married to that woman.
Right. I said her wife.
I thought you said girlfriend. And
no, Jack's girlfriend.
She treats Reggie's wife like crap. I mean, she's just
heinous.
She's awful. It's like, you know what? Why is she even in your life, Reggie? Right. Because she's so awful.
Yeah. So Sarah lashes out at Reggie, as usual, and takes Jack again.
Yep.
And she yells Sarah yells at Reggie and says, "You don't know me. You've never known me." And Reggie says, "That's the problem."
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
and
you don't
how is that anyone's fault but your own?
Right. Well, and she also, she flips on this too. She yells at Jack, well, then just stay. Mm-hmm. But not like bratty. It's just like, you're staying, I'm out of here, bye.
Right.
And then she tells Jack to get his stuff.
Right.
And then she storms out.
Oh,
it's like this.
Just a mess.
Oh.
And
she's normally a mess, but with everything going on, she's a bigger mess.
Yeah. And with her being
this was a hard scene to watch.
Holder, she's more of a mess.
Yes.
So Kyle's in school. He's sitting in a classroom, and he finds a map in his textbook, and it shows his house with X's where each family member would be.
Yes.
And
he kind of looks around. Oh, it's awful when you see that, but he's kind of looking around, and Lincoln's staring right at him. Lincoln knows that's in his book.
And his teacher gives him 20 push-ups for not paying attention.
Right. Yeah. Because he can't say what he finds. He can't say anything. Yeah, like this teacher, I don't know. I don't know. Yes, it's a military school, but you would think you don't want to single him out. He wants to be normal, but really? Really? Don't you think he's probably having some emotional issues? Let's punish him.
Right.
How about taking him out of the classroom
and asking him what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, you could still be all military and yell at him and kick him out of the classroom, but outside, find out what's up.
Yeah.
But no, he just jumps right to the punishment because you know what? He didn't give a crap.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and why not punish Lincoln? Lincoln was egging him on. It was obvious. I don't know.
Well, you know how I feel about it.
I know.
Sarah and Holder are trying to figure out what to do. They can't get a warrant for Lincoln's room.
And it's raining.
And
they're
Holder
sitting in the car.
Sort of apologizes for his behavior the day before.
Well, I'll tell you how he apologizes. The way you could always apologize to me. He brings her some coffee.
Oh.
See, that's love right there.
And he says, I just want my kid's sins to be his own.
Right.
And he doesn't want his behavior and his choices to damage his child.
Right.
And he says, everyone thinks I'm just a piece of crap tweakhead. And you seem to think I'm better than that. And Sarah says, yeah, you're 1-900 rock star.
1-900 rock star.
I love that. They're so sweet. I like when they're buddies.
Yeah, he also offers to go to the gas station. Now, this is a quick turnaround for him. I mean, we just saw him try drugs and everything. But
I don't think it's weird, though.
I don't either. Wrong. I think that the emotions are so freaking high that they're both acting bipolar right now. Yeah. They're just extreme high, extreme low, and it's just bam, bam, bam. But he wants to be on the high, not a fake high. That's who he is. Mm-hmm. And when that pressure released,
high and bipolar isn't a good. I don't think you're using the right analogy.
But bipolar,
manic
you're
is
manic,
not good.
Right? What I'm saying is he's not being manic. When his low passes, he's back to himself. Wouldn't that be bipolar? Or don't you have? Okay,
not at all.
That's why I'm not.
Okay, let's not use analogies that are going to make the mental illness stigma for everybody worse.
Okay.
You know,
I don't understand.
Yeah.
So okay,
let's just say
waves of depression. Over. How about that?
Okay. But it's not even that because I don't think he was in, I think what happened was he just got...
He broke.
Yeah, he broke because there was just too much. And he's not someone who does well with this lying.
Okay.
And all of this other stuff. His life was getting better. Everything was good. And then Sarah chose to murder somebody, and he felt that
it's like he slipped on a banana peel.
But he's loyal, and he's
right.
he's a good person, and he was saying, I can't let her take the fall for this. I need to help her, and therefore screw up my life.
Right.
And so I don't think he was depressed. I don't think he was any of those things. He was just reacting to the
I can buy
horribleness of the.
Like I said, I am not a psychologist.
No, but he was reacting to.
I barely understand
to the bad situation, and he's freaking out, and his anxiety and everything else, and he was going, oh my gosh, I'm going to end up in prison. I've got this baby coming, and now there are all these pressures on him.
Okay,
and
I'm with you.
And so he's saying, you know what? I'm back. I lost it for a little bit there, but you know what? It's not going to help anything. Let's get back on track. And
she's accepting of it too when she does that 1-900-ROCKS.
So they're checking the bathrooms.
Well, they're at the gas stations checking the bathrooms together now.
Yeah, they said, we're living the dream.
Yeah. Well, he also says, I'm a mystery wrapped in a conundrum.
And he tells her that he went to church when she dropped him off.
Right.
So now she at least can feel good about where he was and what he was doing.
Right. And they're having this conversation as they're searching, and they don't find anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, once again, I got to credit the writers, because scenes like this, you don't usually get a scene where two people are searching in a bathroom without them, I found a hair, or I found a whatever. No. The scene was about him exposing to her that he went to a church. Yeah. And that
I go there all the time.
Yeah,
to listen to these nuns.
That. I thought that was really cool.
And he's, it's very unusual, and they're behind the screen, and you can't talk to them or get that,
right.
Like it's just sort of this unusual, peaceful thing, and it helps center him.
Right.
And she even says, that sounds really beautiful, or something.
Yeah,
like she kind of, says, well, that sounds very nice. I mean, she doesn't tease him about it. She doesn't.
Right. She's just really.
Anything. Yeah, she's very supportive.
Very human with him.
And so Carl's this guy.
Okay.
He's got Skinner's wife in his office, and he asks if Skinner liked young girls.
He's not.
He's not very delicate.
But he even tries to say it in a way like he's like, I don't know how to ask this. Guess what, Carl? You don't know how to ask it. That's not the way to do it. Of course she gets tweaked by this.
Well, she doesn't answer him and says, we're done now.
Yeah.
And she tells him to go talk to Sarah. She says that she saw her.
She's leaving. And she's like, talk to her. I saw her.
I saw her at the lake house the other day.
Yes.
She tossed something into the lake. Dear Lord! I mean, could they have screwed this up anymore?
Right.
I mean,
and
really.
that's what we saw in the other episode when she was watching her.
Yeah.
But see, she doesn't think that's anything. She thinks she's just like, screw her. She was up there. Carl thinks, what the hell was she doing? And why was she throwing something up there? Why are all signs pointing to this lake house?
Yes. And to Sarah and Holder.
Guess what this means? They got to go in that lake and find what she threw. There's
no choice.
No, there is no choice. And guess what that means?
They're in trouble. They're going to prison.
They're in trouble.
So so they're outside the bathroom, and Sarah questions a homeless guy about his pin. It's from the school.
Yeah, it's got that St. George pin from the school. I love this bum, too. This homeless guy, because he's like nuts. Mm-hmm. And he loves this pin. I just thought this was it was once again,
funny how
different than you see homeless people portrayed in movies and things. We've run into a lot of them in Chicago. Mm-hmm. That was very realistic to me.
He had his story to tell.
He obviously has some mental illness. He was very real. That was very real to me. Whereas once again, usually in TV shows and that, they're portrayed as like either homeless or the golden homeless guy, or like crazy or the golden homeless guy. And you're like, no, I got the sense that this guy has some mental illness and he was functioning, but he can't function in society. It was very real. I think Holder is about 10% away from that.
Oh. So Jack is at Sarah's house, and of course she dumps him there. Here he was at Reggie's. He had friends. He had company.
Right.
But she just keeps. I mean,
she takes him away from that and dumps him. And he makes a phone call.
Yeah, he calls.
This was weird. He makes a call and he says he asks for Mrs. Jenna Geddes.
Jen Geddes.
Yeah.
Geddes.
And he starts out by saying, "You don't know me," and then it cuts away.
Yeah.
The hell is he calling?
Right.
What is he doing? Is this going to be like a social worker or something? Why would he do that?
Right.
I was confused.
Mm-hmm. I think we were supposed to be.
Yeah, but wow. Okay. So now Jack's a suspect because he's calling something. No. I don't know what's going on there.
One of the cops at the bathroom found a part of a tooth or a bone.
Yeah.
I mean, how weird is that?
It was weird. It was when and he said it was in like one of the sinks or something. It was just a shard of bone.
But you could think, though, I would not have thought, oh, that's something from this. I would have thought that could have been anybody. People get in fist fights.
Well, it could be, but they have to, since they found this, they have to see what it is.
Right. But I didn't think, that sounds like it's part of the case. It sounded to me like, yeah.
The emblem from St. George. They found a shard of bone. So now it's worth investigating that.
Yes.
But if they investigated our sinks, think of the stuff I've dropped down our sinks. Shards of bone. I've got things, hair, skin.
Okay,
I'm a mess.
Let's just take that and not continue.
I'm a mess.
Jack had Sarah meet
Oh, man, if something happens to me, you are in so much trouble. They'll investigate our sink, and they're going to find all sorts of stuff.
They'll see your body and understand.
Oh, gross.
Jack had Sarah meet him at the park, and he was with Sarah's freaking mother.
It was her mom.
I didn't know she was still alive.
No.
And Sarah said that she saw her once at a farmer's market.
Wait. Before she does that, she makes it very clear she wants nothing to do with her. Mm-hmm. And she's very tweaked about even talking to her.
Why do you keep saying tweaked?
Because that's the only way I can describe it.
Everyone in this episode is tweaked.
Okay? She's agitated.
She's angry.
Yes. But,
and she's really feeling betrayed by Jack. Like, what the hell are you doing finding her and then bringing her to me? Don't you know what I've experienced in my life because of this woman? You know?
Yeah, she says...
That's not tweaked.
That's not tweaked.
Beyond.
That's angry. Okay.
And tweaked in the
I'm using the wrong terms for everything tonight.
Tweaked in the case of this episode...
I need to get a thesaurus because I seem to only have a couple of words going
is
tonight.
Only... Holder on drugs. And
right.
He's not even on drugs in this episode. So it's not appropriate.
Okay. Oh, me? Not appropriate? Fitting.
Very fitting.
Yes. Okay, so she does say that she hasn't seen her in 12 years.
And she saw her at the farmer's market.
Right, with her kids.
With her new kids. Yeah. With her,
And she asks Sarah a question like, she's like, oh, what were you doing there? Or what? And Sarah freaks. And she's like, you don't get to know me.
Right.
And it's not like a brat. It's like, no, you lost these rights.
Right.
You don't get to know me. Sarah's still a raw nerve about that, as well as everything else.
Oh, yeah.
Understand.
In all her therapy and all her,
the time in the hospital and everything?
They didn't work on this.
Right.
And the woman says to her, I didn't give you away. I couldn't keep you. There's a difference.
She says you were taken from me or something.
No. She says, and I quote.
Say it again.
I didn't give you away. I couldn't keep you. There's a difference.
I thought that would be
no.
She was taken. What does that mean?
I didn't give you away. I just couldn't keep you any longer. There could be many reasons someone couldn't keep somebody.
Okay.
She could say, I couldn't afford to. It could be that mentally I was damaging you in some way.
Right.
Or it could be any number of things and she just had to let her go, but she wasn't just giving her away.
Okay.
It was that she couldn't keep her any longer.
So it wasn't removed.
No. And it wasn't, I dumped you. It was, I just couldn't keep you.
Okay.
And she said there's a difference. And I see her difference.
Okay.
And she asks if Sarah still likes parades. And,
who doesn't?
But she's trying to show her. I have kept you all these years.
Right. You're still.
I've never let you go out of my heart.
You're still there in my heart. Yep.
And I have held you as that at that age and what you like to do and what we did together and the happy memories.
Now, the way you're describing it sounds like things soften. They don't soften. Sarah walks away.
I'm just saying.
Leaves. I know, but like you're describing it, and it's like, yeah, that's really cool, and yeah, she's trying to do. Sarah has none of it. None of it. She walks away. Then she gets in the car and yells at Jack.
Well, Jack is out there smoking.
Right.
So, yet again, Sarah, way to go on that.
Yeah, way to teach him that. So she yells at Jack, and he tells her that the dad doesn't want him.
Right.
That what he said before was garbage. Dad doesn't want me. I got nothing. All I've got is you. And I was trying to make a connection here because this is it.
And he said, if something happens to you, I'm alone.
Right. I got nobody. And here's somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This was a shocker to me. I didn't realize that the dad was going to reject him.
No.
So, yuck. Great guy. Right.
There's just, like Sarah's going to pick a good guy.
Right. Like there's so much dysfunction going on here. Right. So Holder tells Sarah the bone was from...
It wasn't a bone.
What was it?
It was a partial tooth.
Oh, I thought it was a bone. I thought he said a bone. So it's partial tooth, and it's from the dad, from Stansbury.
Yep.
So they were right to assume that. See, you would have missed that because you wouldn't have assumed it. And when you don't assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
I would have checked it, but I would not have thought, I would have thought homeless person's tooth. So you wouldn't have jumped to
that conclusion?
No, because in any public bathroom like that, there could be any number of reasons why there
could be any number of those in ours, as I've illustrated earlier.
Sarah asked a doctor about Kyle's mom's broken wrist.
Right.
And the doctor says Kyle broke it. And because they were having an argument.
Right.
And his dad in the hospital there, his dad threatened to send him to military school.
Right.
And so she's painting a picture of a dysfunctional family. And
right.
Kyle had and
Kyle having anger issues. So
okay, now I don't believe that he did that. We have seen him not be able to be violent.
Right. But here's what I have to ask about that. Does he Hulk out?
No, I think the dad did it and blamed him.
But we saw him beat Lincoln the way he beat him, and he kind of blanked out when he did it. Did he blank out and hurt the mom? Like
Suzanne on Orange is the New Black.
Yes.
Well, I don't think so.
Is he crazy eyes?
I think that the dad probably did it and was framing him.
Probably. But
I don't know.
There is that possibility. When you think about the Lincoln incident, I don't know. When he was having to hit AJ, he didn't have a rage issue kicking in there for him to hit AJ. But in this case, maybe he did. So maybe he blanks out and goes violent.
It could be.
So he is still a suspect.
Okay, I don't want to talk about this next part because it is so disgusting. Okay, so they go to Kyle and they ask him about the fight.
Oh my God.
And he says...
Oh, I don't want to talk about this either.
She treated me like I wasn't her own kid, which...
Goes with my theory.
Goes with your theory. Now, we still don't have confirmation, but we're getting closer.
Yep.
But that is very interesting that you have said...
And Holder pushes him...
And
asks if she tried anything sexual with him. And he keeps pushing.
Yeah.
And eventually Kyle says she made him touch her. Blah! There we go. I just threw up. That is the worst. Of all the things on here that we've said is the worst, here we go. This is one of the worst.
And true to Holder in this episode and in the last couple episodes, the Colonel comes in to find Holder yelling at Kyle.
Right, good
What
timing.
did you do, Kyle? What did you do, Kyle? Like, okay,
Why are you looking at me, Stan?
But he just admitted this thing, and he just starts yelling at and just pushing and pushing and pushing. She tells them not to come back.
Right.
And
she kicks him off the property.
They go walking out and they see the burgundy Corolla.
The burgundy Corolla's there. Yes.
That's Adam Carolla's daughter.
Burgundy? Yeah. So, you got me with that one. So,
I had to go there.
Kyle goes to his room and finds a gun sitting on his desk. And the map is sitting there. I bit a big frowny face here. This is terrible. And there's a note. Do you know what the note said?
The note said, finish what you started.
Yeah, great. So, in other words,
kill
yourself. There's a gun on campus. She said there's no way a gun could be there. There it is.
And how horrible to tell somebody to kill themselves.
Is this Lincoln?
AJ?
Is it AJ?
Lincoln? They're my two. I don't know.
Yeah,
they're the only two there.
Somebody's pushing his buttons. It's awful.
And he tries to call the police from her office.
Well, he tries to call Sarah. He asked for Detective Linden.
Yeah.
And Lincoln stops him.
Yeah.
Okay. Lincoln, suspect number 1.
And the colonel comes in, and Kyle tells her that someone's trying to kill him.
Yeah.
And so what does she do? She locks him in his room.
Yeah.
She doesn't believe him.
Right. Right.
And maybe she doesn't believe him because she's in on it.
It could be.
See, I
don't
go back
know.
and forth.
Or it could also be that this is how she disciplines there, and she's like, he needs to be isolated. He needs to, be safe in that room, because she said, you'll be safe in here.
Oh, please.
Nobody can get in here. But you know what? From a human standpoint, this is very suspicious.
Isolation is not a
You're isolating
Yeah.
somebody who obviously something weird just happened to.
Yeah. And she's not putting a guard on him or another,
No. Right.
She's
Right.
just sticking
Right.
him in a room with
Right.
the door locked, so he's completely helpless.
Right.
And trapped. That's great. That sounds good.
So yeah, this is shaping up to be some story here at this military academy.
Okay, and now
we
have Sarah. Sarah asks
She's
about
back at
the
station.
Corolla.
She's back at the station.
And they find out it's the colonel's car.
Yeah.
And Holder, oh my gosh. I seriously, my heart stopped beating. And I think my stomach fell to the ground in the scene. But Holder calls to tell her that Reddick's at the lake house. They found the bodies, and they found Skinner.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes.
mean, they're so, oh my
Yes.
gosh, they're in so much trouble.
Well, there's like techs walking everywhere, and you can tell, we know that what's going on, but
Yes.
she doesn't even notice what's going on until he calls. They're at the lake house. Carl found Skinner.
So they go to the lake, and there are
they
bodies
also-
everywhere.
At the same time is where she finds out that the colonel is the one that owns the Corolla.
Yeah.
So
well, we had already said that.
Yeah, but it's all happening, like we've said it, but I want to make sure we're seeing it's happening all at once in the span of seconds.
Yes.
She's finding out that's the colonel's Corolla.
Yes.
And her life is about to fall apart.
Yeah. And so there are bodies everywhere. So they get there. They
go up
see
to the
this,
lake house, yeah.
And they pulled up the car.
They have the bodies lined up on the ground. I don't even know how many there were. Like, I started counting them, and I'm like, you can't really count because they're pulling them out still.
Mm-hmm.
And they had them lined up here, but it looked like there were some lined up. I mean...
And they're all children.
I mean, are there 50 bodies in there? I mean, how many are in this friggin' lake?
All
Yeah, we know they're all
children.
Kids. So...
Sick. I mean, not that it would be good if it was anybody.
As
but
this is
still,
happening,
children.
they're pulling the car out of the ground, out of the water. Carl is just watching Sarah. It's not like, oh, he's staring at her. He's just watching because he knows she is freaking involved.
Mm-hmm.
As they stand there, the last image you see is that car getting lifted out of the water. Holder and Linden standing there watching. Carl in the distance looking at them. And the water just pouring out of this car. Mm-hmm. Reminded me of the first season when they found Rosie Larson. And yeah, they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
not
it.
Good. Okay, we got to get to the next.
We got to get to the next one. Okay, let's end this. You can find past episodes of this and all of our other podcasts at our website, which is www.southgatemediagroup.com. You can follow us on Twitter at The Killing Pod. You can also follow me at R Southgate. Follow Martha at
SMG Pods.
You can find us on Tumblr, on Pinterest. You can find us on Instagram. We don't do a lot there, but we do some. And find us on Facebook as well. Either type in Southgate Media Group or type in The Killing Podcast. We should be either way, or if not, one or the other. Find us on iTunes. Find us on Stitcher. Please rate us, review us. It helps other people find us. In fact, the other day we had a big day. We ended up in the top 100 podcasts on iTunes for this show. And a lot of that has to do with not only people listening, but people reviewing us and giving us ratings. It did push that number up. I'd like to say it tweaked it a little bit. Thank you. One last time.
Please with the tweak. Unless you're talking about Tweaked Audio.
Oh, one of our sponsors.
Makes the best headphones in the world.
They really are awesome. I love mine. In
then
fact,
you can talk about Tweaked all day long.
Let's get that. Let's get a little plug in. We never do this. If you go to our website, there's an ad for Tweaked Audio. You can click on it and you get these awesome headphones. You have to use the coupon code Southgate and you get 30% off. You get free shipping and a lifetime warranty. You know what? They probably don't want me to say this, but I did have a pair that came that had an issue, which it happens. Mm-hmm. I contacted them. They sent me new headphones. Like the next day or 2 days later, I had the new headphones in hand. And all I had to do, they sent an envelope. I just dropped my damaged ones in there, sent it right back. And then it was just like the greatest experience. I was like, new headphones. Mm-hmm. And it happens. It happens to anything. Mm-hmm. So that was really a great experience. I love this company. And I'm just so glad that they support us. They're sponsors.
And everyone we know that has them, oh my gosh, that's all they talk about. Every time we see them, they go, oh, I love my headphones.
Yeah.
I love my
headphones. If you've got those Apple headphones that came with your phone or with your iPod.
No offense, Apple.
I'll give them offense. Those headphones are terrible. These are awesome headphones. And like I said, 30% off. I think that the ones that have wood grain, they're wood.
Yeah, those are beautiful headphones.
$20.
Yeah.
They were 30. You get 30% off. They were $20. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. And they sound great. There we go. Got our little plug in. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you for listening, everybody. For the Killing Podcast, I'm Rob Southgate.
And I'm Martha Southgate.
And next time, we're going to find out maybe how the hell they're going to get out of this one.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.